Hi everyone, welcome to Research and Analysis. My name is Dr. Kamran. In today's video, we are going to discuss different types of sampling techniques. As a quantitative researcher, it is important for you to understand different types of sampling techniques because when you are conducting a research and you need to select a sample for your study, then in that case you need to make sure that the sample which you select must be the representative of your population, and also the results of the study are valid and reliable, and result will can only be reliable and valid if you select ideal sampling technique to select your sample. Also, there are different sampling techniques that may be appropriate for the different types of research or data. So it is important to know when to use each of these sampling techniques. Mainly, there are two main sampling methods: probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Probability sampling refers to sampling methods in which every member of the population has a known and non-zero chance of being selected for the sample. It means that the sample is selected randomly and each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. But when we talk about non-probability sampling, it refers to sampling method in which some members of the population may not have a chance of being selected, or the chance of selection is unknown. So let's discuss further the different types of probability sampling and non-probability sampling. These are the types of probability sampling. First of all, we have simple random sampling. In simple random sampling, each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected for the sample. Such sampling technique is known as simple random sampling. Then we have stratified random sampling. In this sampling technique, the population is divided into subgroups or strata based on certain characteristics. A random sample is then selected from each stratum. Such type of sampling is known as stratified random sampling. Then we have systematic sampling. In systematic sampling, members of the population are selected at regular intervals. For example, every 10th person on a list may be selected for the sample. Such sampling technique is known as systematic sampling. Then we have cluster sampling. In cluster sampling, the population is divided into groups or clusters, and a random sample of clusters is selected. And in this sampling, all members of selected clusters are included in the sample. Finally, in probability sampling, we have multi-stage sampling. It's actually a combination of two or more of the above methods are used to select a sample. For example, if I am conducting research on banking sector employees, first of all, I am just selecting different banks based on by using any of the sampling technique which we discussed in like cluster sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, or it could be simple random sampling. Then after the selection of banks, we need to select different departments. We can also select different departments based on these sampling techniques. And finally, we are using a sampling technique among these types just to select our final respondents. So in that way, it consists of 3 steps, and we are using, first of all at stage 1, and then stage 2, and then stage 3. So in that way, we could have multiple stages. So it is known as multi-stage sampling. Now let's discuss different types of non-probability sampling. First of all, we have convenience sampling. Uh, this, uh, this sampling technique is frequently used in our social sciences. In this technique, the sample is selected based on convenience, such as selecting participants who are available at the time of the study. So it's just in this sampling technique, we are just selecting the sample just based on our convenience. Then we have snowball sampling, where the sample is taken by asking the selected people to refer others from the same population. This technique is very helpful. For example, if we are focusing on the respondents, for example, who are not frequently available, and there is no much information is available, so in that case we can adopt this sampling technique. Then we have quota sampling. In quota sampling, the sample is taken based on certain characteristics of the population. It is similar to stratified random sampling, but that was random sampling, but in this case quota sampling, it is non-random. So this is the main difference between quota sampling and stratified random sampling. Then we have judgmental, or we can say judgment sampling. In this sampling technique, the sample is selected by the researcher's own judgment. If researchers feel that specific respondents should be the part of your sample based on your own judgment, so this sampling technique will be known as judgment sampling. Then we have expert sampling. In expert sampling, we select a sample based on advice of the expert or professional in that field. Finally, we have purposive sampling. In purposive sampling, sample is selected based on specific characteristics of the population. We are interested in a study in which we need the respondent that should consist of some specific characteristics. In that case, this purposive sampling is better. So these are the different types of non-probability sampling. In the end, I must say that the different types of sampling techniques have different strengths and weaknesses, and as a researcher, it is important for you to just select the appropriate sampling technique based on your research questions and study designs. I hope this video will be helpful. Thanks for watching.